replacement seats, straight out the double doors to back, double doors that most people normally use there, double doors over here, single door here. Plenty way to get out of here for this large crowd tonight in the event that we need to go somewhere. Okay, with that said, we'll do the pledge again, I guess. We did it once, want to do it again? Absolutely. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, start down the far end down there.
Good evening, Ralph Linguist.
No, just talk loud.
Good evening, Mitch Goldblatt.
Good evening, Margaret Dovicki.
Good evening, John Grangelo.
Hello, Judy Williams.
And Denny.
And Danny Secretary, thank you. All right, public participation. Public participation is for any item that is not an agenda item. You're allowed 2 minutes per speaker. You have to come up to the podium and give your name, address, and you have 2 minutes to speak. Nobody in the audience wishes to speak? Jody H. She was hoping somebody was going to be first.
Assuming this mic's not working either.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I was originally expecting, when I saw the agenda come out, to see that racism as a public health issue was going to be on the agenda. That was an expectation that we had heard was going to happen. And I know I speak for a few other people who are extremely disappointed that that item was not on tonight's agenda. I strongly encourage this board to reconsider this issue for their next meeting. Whereas we look around the room, we see orange also white, excluding one person, which certainly represents our minority in this town. We do have minorities in this town, and they need to have a voice. Is there something funny?
There is, because he and I are looking at each other. He's from Ohio, so.
I don't care where he's from. I don't care where he's from, but I don't find that funny.
Continue. Would you continue?
Yeah, I'd be happy to continue.
Good.
It's obvious, and that's a perfect example, that this is not a laughing matter, that we are not taking this issue seriously in the town of Orange, that there are minorities who are afraid to speak up. So you might say, how come they're not here? Because they're afraid to. And you might find that hard to believe, but it is absolutely true. And the only way we are going to solve that issue for this town and make us more welcoming is to bring this issue before the board. So I would strongly encourage you to reconsider this agenda item for your next meeting.
Is there anybody else who would like to speak? Anybody at the table? Mitchell.
Just an announcement, really. As the head moderator in yesterday's primary, I'm not sure everyone got all the results, so I'm going to give them to you now. Hopefully Chris gets on his phone to show I don't get land. In the Democratic primary, winner was Joseph Biden, 885 votes. Bernie Sanders, 106 votes. Tulsi Gabbard, 19 votes. And Democratic uncommitted, 26 votes. In the Republican presidential primary, Republican Donald J. Trump, 399 votes. Republican Rocky De La Fuente, 37 votes. Republican uncommitted, 62 votes. Those are the vote totals for the town. That includes the absentees, of which there was a considerable amount. And I want to thank everyone who worked with the polls yesterday, even though it was a slow day at the polls. But also want to especially thank our registrars of voters, Janice Casey and Fred Kendrick, for a tremendous job in making this happen in Orange with very few, if any, issues at all. So very proud of how we did yesterday, especially our registrars did a great job.
Those are all their tools to prove it.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Thank you.
Okay, we jump from public participation to announcements. Is anybody else at the table?
Air conditioning, please.
Sorry, Steve, it's on, that's what you got. Okay, I just have a couple things here, for those of you who might have seen it in the paper, might not. Former First Lady of Orange, Elaine Capsilotro, passed away on Wednesday at 98 years young. Great lady, lived a long life. Truly was a really classy First Lady of the town, and condolences go out to her family on that loss. Monday, September 7th of 2020, all town offices, the transfer station will be closed in observance of Labor Day. And unfortunately, the 4th of July concert was going to be the Labor Day concert, but then nobody has crystal ball, and so we couldn't see if that was going to be possible or not. However, Ann, did you put that in? Yep. At the back? Yeah, here it is. You will see in the back of your packet, Steve Cooper and Steve Heckman, and the Milford Arts Group, I think, Steve, just nod if I'm right, I think I am, are putting together some concerts, and there will be 3 drive-in concerts here in Orange. They're meeting to discuss how it all works down here and back on the fairgrounds. And the beneficiary of those, I believe, is the fire department and Bethel Shelter. Are the 2 beneficiaries of these drive-in concerts. So it is in your packet, and Ian will have it up on the website so that others can be aware of this going on. It's most of them are in Milford, but there are 3 in Orange. So,
Can I ask Steve, where in Milford?
where are they holding them in Milford, Steve?
In back of the mall, Sears, yeah, so on.
Okay, thanks.
Behind Ross. Over there. Okay. With that said, that's all I have. We survived this hurricane. We had a almost 96-97% outage, which is over 6,000 meters in town. There's 6,400 and change meters total in town, not families, meters. And the majority of them were out, and some areas had far greater damage than other areas, but there was a lot of damage around the entire town. And Public Works and the CERT group and emergency management and the police and fire marshals and all of them really did a yeoman's job in their part. And aside from what some might think about UI, I know from dealing directly with them, UI did a hell of a job for us here in town. And I went through 4 representatives before they could appease me to a degree where I probably stopped being not so nice. And I just don't do it out in the newspaper or on TV. But it really helped. We had a few areas that were more difficult than others. When you get a transformer that hits the ground and breaks, that creates other problems besides just putting in a new pole and a can on a pole type of thing. And we still have a lot of people that are without their TV, cable, telephone, Wi-Fi, that stuff due to other providers. But they are I've started to see some of those vans around town more so today. Today's the first day I saw an abundance of them around town. So I think they're following behind the power company, and as the power companies get towns all tied up, I think then you see these other service providers coming through town. The dump is open every day till 4:30. We didn't have the early close days. It was also open all day this past Sunday, and it will be open all day this coming Sunday as well. And then that'll end that. But they're out still picking up and grinding a lot. A lot of people are cleaning up their yards, and there's a lot of young people making a few bucks with pickup trucks and all out cleaning up other people's yards. So it's got some pluses and minuses to it, but it is past us until the next one comes. So that's all we can worry about with that.
Minutes. To consider an act on the minutes of the July 8th regular meeting of the Orange Board of Selectmen. Are there any errors, omissions, or corrections? If so, could you state the page and paragraph? If not, is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Okay, any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Unanimous. Item number 1 under old business. Finally able to bring this to closure. To consider an act on the request of Simple Recycling for an exclusive 3-year contract to place a container at Town of Orange Transfer Station. This was one that has been discussed. People wanted us to pass it the first night, but there was a lot that had to be discussed and decided and figured before that could happen. It has now happened. Sonny Wilkins is in the room here tonight. He flew in to be here in case there's any questions on behalf of Simple Recycling. Mitch and the recycling committee worked pretty diligently on this. Loretta Smith is still pissed off. She brought her pink bag with her that they didn't pick up at her driveway. She's been saving this for a year now. But discussion on Simple Recycling, and if you have questions, we would have Sonny come up to the podium. Mitch?
Yeah, thank you, Jim. You know, as you said, hopefully brings to closure. We had a lot of questions at the first 2 meetings we discussed this. After the last meeting, there was a potential other proposal out there. So what I did, work with Bob Britton in the Public Works Department and put together a request for proposal. This was sent out to the current vendor, as well as Simple Recycling, as well as Bay State Textiles that we'd also heard from last time. The only response we got was from Simple Recycling, and as Jim has mentioned, Sonny Wilkins represents Simple Recycling, flew here today for this meeting to answer any questions that have not been provided on the request for proposal. I think you will notice though, after the last meeting, when there was discussion about potential drop boxes at other facilities other than the transfer station, Simple is now saying they will do that. And they've also increased the remuneration to the town from what they originally proposed up to $115 a ton. Which is
Yeah, went from 60 to 150.
from 60 to ton to 115 after hearing last month about another proposal. So I don't have much more to say with this questions, but Sonny is here to answer any questions about Simple Recycling or any questions you have about his proposal of this corporation.
Are there any questions? Otherwise, I'm gonna ask Sonny if you wanna come up and give just a short blurb on Simple, and since you flew here, you gotta do something in order for them to cover your bill.
No, I just wanted to, thank the board for taking a look at our proposal, and, we had the curbside program, here for a moment, and of course, the pandemic happened, and a lot of things shifted in our industry, and, we realized that this was a way to still keep, the textile diversity going within the town and extend that relationship, and so, I'm happy to continue this service, and, I've been here the whole time, I'm, reachable by phone for any issues, and, we'll continue that, so I'm hoping to continue that relationship.
Very good. I have a question that one person did ask me the other day. Now, maybe you're it, like a regional rep that would be like for Connecticut, like, would that be you, or is there somebody here in the state? Or, how does our public works if there is a problem, contact?
Well, so I have a facility in Britain that will be servicing.
So that's the state, okay.
Yeah, and, there's plenty of other towns that are closer to New Britain that we have the curbside program.
Yeah.
And so, normally what happens is, after we have everything set up, I do the direct contact with the dispatcher, but I ask all of my contacts to make sure that I'm included in any communication. So that way I can just keep my eyes on, keep my foot on the gas.
What's going
on.
That answers it. That's the question right there. Loretta, we're not recording, so you can come up or be good. Oh, okay.
Uh-oh, you're gonna get a big bag, I think.
Ma'am, I can pick that up.
With service like that, we're going in. That's great.
Right here where people can see. My name is Loretta Smith. I'm on the Orange Recycling Committee, serving with the fantastic chairman, Mr. Mitch Goldblatt, and I've served with him on other, like the library, when we were building a new library, so I know him pretty well. I live on Hillcrest Road in Orange, and I'm speaking in favor of simple recycling, not just because we need a good, reliable recycling system here in town, but this simply recycling goes beyond what Goodwill does. Goodwill collects clothes, shoes, purses, so does simply recycling. Does Goodwill collect old rags? Right. What would you do with these? Goodwill won't take them. Do you know where they're gonna go if we don't get somebody to pick them up? They're going to go into the dump. Every year, at least 86 pounds of textiles go into landfills or incinerators because people don't recycle them. Sorry, but, oh look, this was my grandchild's. We really need, and this is just textiles, these are old washcloths and things that I will not want to throw into the dumpster at the dump. I want them to be used as recycling, simple recycling would do. They would make them into like the cloths that mechanics use when they're working on cars and other usable items. They would not be burned, they would not be disposed of in the dump. So I think it's very important. Not only is the money good for the town, I served on the library 25 years, and every year we bought more salary for the librarians and all the other people, but this town just can't afford to raise prices. So maybe with 115 per ton instead of 60, maybe we can see a little light. Or maybe there are other ways that the town can use this money to good use. I'm sure there are, and I'm sure that our Board of Selectmen will look carefully at that. But this is a great recycling service. I just met this gentleman tonight. He is so nice. Look at this. Are you going to put these up for me?
Yes, absolutely.
This is all I want to say, but I do hope, ladies and gentlemen on the Board of Selectmen, that you will consider this very, very carefully and think what a better business would be simple recycling at our town. We just think it's Thank you very much.
Okay, is there anybody, oh, now we got two more. Yes.
Just in regards to Mitch or anyone, what's the anticipated revenue that we would expect from simple recycling?
We don't know because it's a new program, but according to Goodwill, they used to do about, what was it, 20 tons? I think it was 20 tons is what Richie Boris said they had done. It was in the 20 tons range. So 20 to 40 tons because they take more hard goods and things too. So, and it will all be weighed. So we're gonna have to run it for a while to see, Steve.
Thank you.
Yes.
I just think it would be helpful if it lists all the types of items that they take, so everybody can hear it, because I believe it's more than just clothing and things like that.
That's a lot.
I think that's Mitch.
I can do that for you. Thanks, Eileen. There's the list of what was included in our proposal for those that are listening. From Simple Recycling: men's clothing, women's clothing, children's clothing, coats and jackets, jewelry, shoes, purses, hats, toys, blankets, drapes, curtains, pillows, sleeping bags, tools, silverware, dishes, pots, pans, and backpacks. I'm sure variations of those as well.
So it's kind of across the gamut, pretty broad. So that's why it's kind of hard to guess the tonnage because it's a whole different game at this point. So we'll have to wait and see. All right, any other questions? Discussion?
Very excited.
Is there a motion to be made?
I'll make a motion that we use simple recycling, subject to council's review of the contract.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Unanimous.
Thank you.
Lord, I thought we could take out of the plane.
Don't worry, they're gonna confiscate it anyhow,
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay. All right. First item under new business is to consider an act on the approval of appointment of Jasper J. Jazer as Orange's representative to the South Central Connecticut Regional Water Authority's Representative Policy Board. This one, normally we just do appointments and you see them in the back of the packet, but by their charter, it requires the action of the legislative body, which is why you have the letter before you. Is there a motion to approve that? So moved. All right, second. Is there any discussion? Any reasons? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Unanimous.
I'm sorry. Did we, okay the boxes at the school locations and
Right.
I just want to know.
I think you could put one at each school. What do you think, Mary Wheeler? You're kind of involved in that.
I will not speak for the board.
Chicken. I don't see that as a problem.
Okay, so the proposal.
Yeah, where'd he go?
He left.
I can pass that along to Bill Kraus and Dr.
Well,
Scofield.
for those who aren't aware,
Okay,
that?
okay.
for those who aren't aware, the proposal that Simple put forward was not just to extend the transfer station collection, but also to put drop boxes in each of the schools and at this facility as well, for people who don't go to the transfer station or well, they're dropping off kids or whatever.
It's just easier. And we're trying to put it at the transfer station.
Easy.
So.
Is that okay?
Thank you.
Showing the dimensions.
Yeah, we'll get it for you. Take us 2 days. Okay, item number 2, consider an act on request to purchase new fleet vehicle for the fire marshal's office. Fire Marshal Vincent is here. This is to replace the deputy or inspector vehicle, I guess this was. It's a road expedition that has a lot of mileage on it and a bad motor at this point. It's run its life out, so we'll probably send it to the auction.
It's a 2006 expedition that was inspected back in April, or May, I can't remember. But when they did the inspection, they sent it for service. When they looked at it, they determined that all the body mounts, radiator mounts, and all the safety points are rotted through, and that the motor was starting to burn oil. So they deemed it unsafe at deadline.
So, yeah, the proposal before you for a vehicle, all goes into our stuff, the Board of Finance, I think approved this already.
They did, they approved
It should go for us first, and then the Board of Finance, but this went the other way. So it's, the funding is there for this vehicle. Questions? Oh, okay.
Motion to approve?
Second, but I also want to say that Rob Rivers' letter, that was wonderful. I think it was the clearest picture given to all of us, so that was an easy decision to make.
Yeah, he's been nothing but a guy since he started here.
Yeah.
You know, his first week, I said to Jim, I said, I saw a miracle, I saw a supervisor with a wrench in his hand. I put it in a repair slip, and 20 minutes later, he was at the firehouse fixing it. So,
Yeah, so
that was-
please thank him.
Yeah, no, trust me, we get coffee regularly.
Excellent, excellent. So I think we got a second, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of this?
Aye.
As presented, okay? Opposed, abstained? Unanimous.
Thanks, Jamie.
Be well.
I don't like these tables this way.
I know.
I'm used to just looking down at them. Item number 3, in case you haven't seen or known it, the Rotary Club of Orange is doing their Lobster Fest, but as a takeout.
I think it's great.
I saw that up in Essex, I think was doing the same thing, I was up there a couple weeks ago. So they're asking for their banner to be across Orange Center Road, as they've done in the past for their Rotary Lobster Fest. Is there any, I think nobody here is Rotary for that, no?
Well, Steve is, but
He
he's
just walked out.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, to consider consider an act on the waivers, benefits for 27 town employees. That's that $2,000 stipend they get in lieu of taking our insurance plan.
So moved.
Okay.
We'll give it to Mitch and Margaret. That's right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can you start using that microphone? I'm gonna
What?
start using the microphones.
Oh, you're back on?
Yeah, back on, sorry.
Okay, thanks, Chris. All right, item number 5 is to consider an act on request from Bob Britton for tree work. Bids received, you only received from 2. And you received from Denny Landscaping and Paulo Landscaping and Tree Removal. One is $24,900 with $150 per hour bucket truck and $75 per chipper versus $275 an hour, $117,400 plus $275 an hour for bucket truck, chipper, and 2 men. So if you do the math, Denny is $225 for the bucket truck and chipper. Paulo is $275, which goes obviously with every job. So then you have to look at the split of the money there. There's a $7,500 difference, roughly, something like that. So did Mr. Brinton, where is he? He's here.
Yep.
Did you have a recommendation on this, Mr. Brinton?
Well, we're recommending Paolo, the 17,400 and the 24,900 is for a specific list of trees,
Mhm.
lump sum. And then the prices are for if another tree comes up during the year.
Oh,
So we do have
okay.
that little mix of, so definitely Paolo is the lowest for the list that they bid on of specific locations.
Okay, and I think there are how many trees approximately on this current list? 40?
You can count them, but it's pretty small type, and you're into a little more than a page, yeah, at least 40.
I thought Donnie said it was at least 40.
5 stops and like 85 trees.
Whoa.
85 trees?
5 trees?
Okay.
Different sizes.
Oh, okay.
All right, so Paulo's working for nothing this year. Okay.
One height for me.
Okay, does anybody on the board have questions or in the audience for Mr. Brinton, the town engineer, regarding this bid? Seeing none, is there a motion to be made?
Second.
For what, Judy?
Oh, I'm sorry. So moved to go with Mr. Brenton's recommendation of Paulo Landscaping and Tree Removal, $17,400 for removal of 85 trees. And the addition of $275 for a bucket truck and chipper as needed. So that would be an additional, right?
That's additional.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's a motion. Who made the second?
I did.
Okay. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Item number 6, to consider an act on request to approve bid for generator inspection maintenance town buildings. They had, their extensions and all had run out. Mr. Brenton, do you want to go through this one?
Sure, this is a maintenance contract that's bid every 3 years, for a 3-year period. This year, the low bidder was A&J Generator of Oxford. And I think the memo, I said I contacted the references and they were all good, and their prices were the lowest. I think we should give them a try.
Who did we use currently?
GDL, they were bought by a larger company, but I think they're still using that name. They're out of somewhere over by like Essex.
Okay. All right, any questions for Mr. Brenton from the audience or the table on that one? Seeing none, is there a motion to accept Mr. Britton's recommendation of A&J Generator out of Oxford, Connecticut? Okay, Mitch and Ralph, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Unanimous.
We did have the opportunity to test all the generators last week.
Yes, we did. They ran for an extended time.
Wow.
Yes. We already did it, but you missed it. That's all right. She said you were outside, I went like that. Yes, I think it'll be very intriguing to try it that way.
Yeah.
They're doing, what I did read on the post too, I should have said it earlier, ladies and gentlemen, was the lobster dinner, if you get that, the lobsters are cooked. If you decide to get the steak dinner, the sirloin steak, it said that it was spiced and ready for you to cook. So you will take home a steak that needs to go on your grill or broiler if you choose to go for the beef as opposed to the lobster. Forgot to say that. Item number 7 is to consider an act on the proposed memorandum of agreement between the Town of Orange and the town employees of the Highway Department, ASME Local 1303-21, Council 4. They both came to me under the current unsure economic time. They didn't wish to negotiate at the time. They said if you're willing to just consider a wage increase, and their co-pays are already at the top of the mark, which they're getting clipped on pretty heavily with the increase we had in health insurance, they would be willing, both of them, you're going to discuss the school nurses after this. We only have these two unions are both represented by ASME. And so we sat, we talked, and it's a one-year extension of their contract with just strictly a wage increase and no other changes. We've pretty much cleaned up their contracts for their wants over the last few years. So this one is for the Highway Department. Problems?
So moved.
Okay, Mitchell, you're our HR person. Is that, it works?
It's fair, it's fair, as I say, fair and reasonable in this economic climate and in the situation with the pandemic, to extend it for 1 year and hopefully in a year from now be able to actually hopefully sit down face to face with them and
Yeah.
discuss anything else that needs to be discussed. But for a 1 year extension, I think it's fair.
Okay. Very good. I commend the Highway Department for this offer. Thank you. Motion made and seconded. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? Opposed? Abstain? Unanimous. Item number 8, to consider on act on proposed memorandum agreement between the Town of Orange and school nurses, ASME Local 1303-316, Council 4. Exactly the same offer as Highway.
So moved.
I commend the nurses for their also agreeing to that.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Unanimous. Thank you to our school nurses for caring, and they're going to be in for a interesting ride this year. So who knows what they're going to encounter with the way things are going. Let's see, committees. Pension Board.
Yep, we have a meeting of the pension board's coming up next Thursday, the 20th. I'm
Okay.
not sure if that's going to be in person or Zoom. We don't know yet.
Haven't heard yet?
No.
Okay. Emergency Management, Margaret?
Thank you. The Emergency Management Subcommittee on COVID-19 continues to meet every other week, although, as you might imagine, this past week, they were rather preoccupied with the hurricane and its aftermath. But on COVID-19, the Department of Health continues to closely monitor any COVID cases in town in an active surveillance mode. Overall, Connecticut should be proud of the fact that we have low infection rates, and that extends to Orange. In Orange, the report from last Friday was 6 active cases, with others having recovered and no new hospitalizations. The health department continues to do contact tracing, and it seems to have the situation well in hand. Of course, the big issue remains the reopening of schools in the fall. The health department has been working very closely with the superintendent of schools on plans for safe school openings, and they will continue to monitor local data on disease prevalence up to the week before school starts in case anything needs to be adjusted or changed.
The state of Connecticut has allocated $260 million to support school openings around the state. The Department of Health is also preparing for mass vaccinations in town should there be a vaccine available, and should it be distributed to the state of Connecticut. So plans are underway for that possible occurrence. And we of course want to continue to implore everybody to continue following the guidelines, wearing of face masks and social distancing. Just a word on the hurricane and its aftermath. Emergency management is doing a preliminary damage assessment on town buildings, roads, and private homes. All roads have been opened, and there should be few, if any, outages left. It was reported that they had good cooperation and communication with UI. One concern the fire department raised, however, is the safe operation of generators when there's an outage, and this is something that needs to be brought into the public discussion. The fire department noted that generators need to be installed and run in a safe manner to avoid CO2 emissions and alarms. So they plan to do some public messaging on that to ensure that people are doing it safely. Right now. Sorry.
Mine's always.
Okay, and that's it for me.
That's it.
I know you were done.
Ta-da.
I saw Chris signaling.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you, Margaret. It's amazing that, for how many years have we heard about people, you don't run your generator in your house, don't run it in your garage, don't use your gas grill or a regular grill either in your garage, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We're all getting older, and we're still hearing the same problems coming behind us that were ahead of us. It's like, wow. Or make sure you have a cutout switch so that you're not energizing the lines backwards out of your house. Or some people, I had one guy say, I put a plug on mine, I just plug it into the dryer outlet. I go, well, do you shut your main off when you do that? And he said, no, because I actually had a couple people tell me that. He goes, no, because then I wouldn't have any power in my house. I'm going, no, you still have the power in your house, but you won't be sending it out. Oh, the best one. I got to tell you the best one. Had a man bitching that he had been without power for 2 days. Had to go to the post road to make himself eggs. I said, okay, so what's the problem? I said, well, how are you cooking your other meals? Well, we're eating a lot on the grill. Okay. I said, well, why don't you cook your eggs on the grill? He said, how am I supposed to do that? The eggs will drop through the bars. God's honest truth. I said, how about if you put a frying pan on the grill first? I couldn't believe it. So, God help us. He's probably going to see this now that I just told that. No, I did not. He'll know. Bond construction oversight, Mitch.
Yeah, no report. While I have the microphone, before, I did thank everyone who helped with the primary. I think I neglected to thank the town clerk's office and their work in the absentee ballots, which was yeoman's work for them too. But Bond construction did not meet, so there's no report. Thank you.
Okay. And personnel, now that we can have in-person meetings again, there's a few things coming so that, no, not tonight, but no, we haven't been meeting because of the distancing thing, and I'm not doing the other way I have trouble with that. So, okay. So with that said, I ask for a motion to close the regular meeting to convene in executive session. We can go into the other room to discuss, it won't, discuss, this is going to be a long discussion. When I say long, I don't mean long tonight. I mean it's going to be extended over probably several months, going back and forth with the board to update them on a potential property purchase.
And Jim?
And Vin?
Since everyone's who stuck it out, if their face masks up here for the town of Orange face masks.
Oh.
You all won something. I feel like Oprah, and you get a mask, and you get a mask, and you get a mask.
All right. Well, Mitch had masks and Vinny has masks. These are Orange, Connecticut masks. If you would like another mask, please come up. If you haven't gotten one, they're very generously done. Yes, Mitchell. We can either go into the conference room there, or everybody here can vacate.
Vacate, because even with the mask, I think that room's tight for us.
Okay, yeah, it could be. Okay, thank you all for coming. Have a good night. Come up and get a mask.
Get a mask.